Okay, email marketing. So if email and lead nurturing is so important to this, and it is, let's take a look at it. So email marketing, believe it or not, every $57 you invest, you'll get $1 back. No, every $1 you invest, you'll get 57 back. Just seeing if anyone's paying attention. And so you get 57 back for every $1 that you invest. Now, this should be obvious, right? It's 5 times easier to sell to someone you know. I'm trying to make sure everyone can see. It's 5 times easier to sell to someone you know than to cold call, right? What email does for you, done well, what email does for you is warm people up, build a relationship with you. So that when you call, it's like, oh, Kim, how you doing? Love that email I got from you yesterday, or I just watched that video, or whatever, right? So email, just so you know, email is one of the most potent tools you can use. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's been said about, well, social media eclipsing email and email use and all of that. But what's the one thing you have to set up a social media account? Anybody? Email. Why? Because they send you emails every time someone does something on your wall or anything else so that you'll click and go back through and look at the wall and visit the site again. Very, very fundamental. So it's not going to displace it. There may be other avenues, and we'll talk about some of that, but email is very potent. You do not want to ignore it. But you also want to avoid some mistakes. So batch and blast emails. Having a list and sending out a monthly newsletter, same message to every single person on your list over and over and over and over. The challenge there, why does that happen? Because it's, how do I develop content? How do I think about developing that content? And developing that content for different interest areas. I don't know how to do that. So we'll just develop the content for our monthly email, and we'll send it out to everybody on our list. Everybody on our list. Who cares? We'll do it. The problem with that, the problem is that you're going to wear out your list. You're going to start to see your response drop. You're going to start to see your open rates drop. People tune you out. Here's why. It's a very easy thing to think about. You got 1,000 people in your list, okay? Your open rate, a good open rate, this is a pretty good open rate, 15%. Okay, 15%. That means 150 of those thousands actually open your email. And of those, 10% click through. Okay? That's who you could say that's who you engaged. So open and click through, you could say that's somewhere in there the number you actually engaged. But that 15 is only 1.5% of that original 1,000. Right? Only 1.5%. That means you did not engage 85 to 98.5% of all those leads that you sent that email to. So batch and blast, sending one email message out, not knowing how to tailor based on when they click through and show you they're interested in something, so you can follow up with a nurturing sequence that ties just into that interest. Mistake. Here's why. Over time, it's just going to be noise. And that's what happens is list fatigue. So you want to be able to segment, you've got to be able to track. So here's an example. When we came out with this booklet that you guys are all going to get, this is what we did. We sent it out to our entire list. 6,704 people at the time. We had a 15% open rate, so 992 people opened the email that announced the booklet. Click-through rate, we had 26% click-through rate, which is 3.8% of that 6,704. That's what we got. We did not engage between 85 and 96% of our list with that message. Astounding, but true. We didn't. If we did this all the time, the majority of people are tuning you out. So even if you change up the kind of content you talk about, you're only going to hit a certain percentage of your list at any given time. So think about it. If you're really, really deeply interested in a subject, I can talk to you about that subject in a wholly different way than I can talk to you about someone who's mildly interested, right? And if I talk really deeply about a particular subject with somebody, and you're not very interested in it, it'll piss you off, okay? But if you know what people are interested in by what they click through on, and you use that to then target other messages to them, you now have captured attention in a whole different way. Yeah. Open rate's measured by, there's usually a little image pixel graphic that's in an email, and when somebody opens the graphics, the only way you know. Only other way you would know they opened it is if they click through. And if they haven't opened it by that time, you'll probably open it as well as note the click-through in the back-end program. No, if they click through, yeah, I mean, everything blocks images these days. It's like they have to kind of, it's the few that actually bring them through, right? So open rate, and to that point, open rate has started to get less of a prominence. It's mostly click-through rate. That's going to measure true engagement, is whether they actually click through. If you have emails that allow them to, right? So there's a difference. But if you watch it over time, you'll see the open rate is very different on your successful emails than it is on your not so successful emails. This is a good rate. 15%? Yeah, that's a good rate. 10% would mean you have a pretty cold list. 25% and you're a rock star. If you can consistently get 25%, you're doing pretty darn good, right? I'll never forget a customer that we have now. When she first started, all they were doing was sending through Outlook. So they were doing Outlook with BCC, blind copy. That's how they were sending their emails. So they had no trackability on their emails at all. They started up with Janu. They sent an email. She called me up and she said, something is horribly wrong. And I said, well, what happened? She said, well, it couldn't be. There's something wrong with your program. And I said, well, what happened? She said, well, I sent to 100 people and only 10 opened it. I said, have you ever sent to that list before? She said, no, this is something brand new. We just got this list, first email they've ever gotten from us. And I said, well then, that's exactly what your results indicate. It's a cold list, 10%, not bad. She said, really? I just assumed everybody would open it. Right? So you want to know it's not that way. But here's the solution to batch and blast. You want to develop content for interest areas. So if you really know your target, and now we're back to target and content, right? I'm going to get back to your target market and knowing it intimately, better than they know themselves, and your content. And you know the interest areas. What are the areas of interest? For us, it's people might be interested in email marketing, people might be interested in lead nurturing, people might be interested in landing page optimization, people might be interested. We have these different subjects that in my company, this is what we can cover, right? And we can dig down into those things. But you want to know what they are. And then if you send out a general email, include specific links, not just any links. These links are designed. This is about this particular interest area. This is about this one. If they click through here, we're going to follow it this way. If they click through here, we're going to follow it that way, or we're going to segment them that way. You need to be able to do that. So what you do is you develop interest areas based on and then you send them their interest.